Do you believe me now with headlines like, Stellantis revenue drops across the globe, but hardest regional decline was in North America? Or the tone-deaf strategy and bad leadership at the heart of Stellantis' failure? Or Stellantis' revenues and shipments fall again in the third quarter? And just to get everybody in on this sinking ship, Stellantis broadens the employee share purchase plan to the nearly entire global workforce. But you know the clear indications that companies are going out of business when the CEO is getting pushed out, there's juggling at the VP level, and there's layoffs across the board. For example, Stellantis is about to lay off 1,100 Ohio Jeep plant workers, and another 400 workers are waving bye-bye at the Detroit Auto Parts facility. And clear indications show that these are just a few examples of why, in fact, Stellantis and the North American versions Jeep, Ram, Dodge, and even Chrysler may be going out of business. There's no secret, Ram has been one of the poorest selling pickup trucks in North America, competing with Ford and GM. Right now, are brand new 2025s. The worst part is they haven't even sold their 22s, 3s, and 4s yet, which collectively sum up to almost half of what's out there on the market for sale. And that's a Stellantis product. Chrysler only has a minivan and nobody's buying those either. They're overpriced and the reliability's second to everything. And Dodge, another product within the Stellantis fold in North America, strictly only has the Durango, which is old, obsolete, and overpriced, the Hornet, which is essentially a rebadged Alfa Romeo Tonale and nobody wants it, and even the Challenger and Chargers are waving bye-bye as they transition to a full electrification and they literally lost their core. The latest as well, Jeep sales have literally tanked. Incentives are up, but sales really aren't going anywhere. On top of it, quality control issues, plug-in hybrid problems with alleged potential fire hazards, high prices, and massive sales reductions shows that Jeep's not selling very well either. Now, as many of those Stellantis products are all leading one thing, they're all winning one race, and that's the worst selling products. In other words, the most vehicles on the industry lots. That's right. In other words, the day supply leads almost everybody in the entire industry, next to maybe Jaguar. The worst part is Stellantis is facing multiple headwinds from the fact that many consumers just don't have the trust and the faith in the quality that these brands represent, as well as the high prices means a lot of people are shying away from a lot of the Stellantis products. We're also now seeing allegedly the newly elected president is promising that if a lot of these Stellantis products are moved to Mexico for manufacturing, that they're going to see significant tariffs applied to those Stellantis vehicles. Many people allege that the tone-deaf approach that the management over at Stellantis has had clearly has led them to their demise. Customers are looking for cost-effective vehicles that are reliable and that clearly that the middle class can buy, because that's initially what Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep products have intentionally been for. The working class, the middle class, the blue collar. And yet, unfortunately, a lot of these vehicles are priced well outside the reach. On the 25s, how much they were going for, and this one here is stickering at about $78,195. We're talking about even vehicles with the Wagoneer now priced in the world of Audi, BMW, Mercedes, and they're none of that. It's not a luxury brand, and yet they're trying to promote these vehicles as being a luxury brand. Customers of a lot of the Dodge products, of course, and the Challengers and the Chargers, we know wanted the good old-fashioned V8 engine, and now while it's not necessarily a high seller, it is a niche and there's always that underlying clientele. Now switching over to pure EV, they've pretty much all but given up that entire niche. Nobody wants an electric charger. Then on top of it, management decided during the vehicle shortage back in 2022 that while every other manufacturer was scrambling to get inventory on the car lots, Stellantis felt like they were going to double, triple down on output, production, and they were going to put more vehicles on the lot to try to capitalize when every other brand was down, that they were going to have the inventory available for the customers. Well, guess what? It backfired because they loaded up the inventory, they doubled down on the output, and yet nobody showed up at the doors. On Thursday, Stellantis just announced its third quarter earnings, and unfortunately, they're down 27%. To approximately $35.8 billion from 365 days ago, which is just in a continuing trend of the financial woes that Stellantis is facing. Also in the last quarter, Stellantis has seen a reduction of 20% in their sales in this last quarter to approximately 1.1 million, especially when comparing to last year, a clear indication sales continue to slide. And in North America, the transatlantic biggest profit revenue generator declined more even dramatically by about 42%, down to $13.5 billion, or that's about 12.5 billion euros, while shipments were completely down a third, almost actually over a third, by 36% to about 299,000 vehicles. In Europe, revenue dropped about 12%, South America down about 2%, Asia, it was down almost a half at 40%, the Middle East and Africa felt about 37%. And you know when a company's shares are going in the toilet or the finances are in dire straits, they try to bring more people into the fold for reinvestment and try to re-salvage the financial situation that some of these corporations go through. With that said, Stellantis broadens employee share purchase plan to nearly entire of the global workforce. Yes, there's an opportunity for more than 230,000 employees to become shareholders on preferential terms with a 20% discount on the share price and matching contribution of 100% of the personal amount invested up to €1,000. There's strong incentives for employees to share in the creation of value supporting Stellantis and the initial threshold of 5% of capital held by its employees. This program builds on successes that they found in 2023 in France and Italy. So what better way for a manufacturer to try to salvage? Have others reinvest, buy more shares, buy more stocks, up the value of the organization. They're not selling vehicles to up the value, so they've got to bring in other capital from the workers. And then the CEO, Carlos Tavares, has emphasized the necessity of trying to balance production with sales. And as a result, the latest news, the Toledo plant, which manufactures the Jeep Gladiator, is actually having to lay off 1,100 workers coming up right now. These layoffs are the latest in a series of job cuts by Stellantis, reflecting the broader challenges within the automotive industry. The affected workers, members of the UAW union, will receive a supplemental pay and state unemployment benefits amounting to about 74% of their regular income. Not a bad deal to sit at home, but they're on borrowed time. We also can't forget about earlier in February, Stellantis reduced its workforce by about 1,200 at the Toledo North plant, which produces the Jeep Wrangler. They also reduced their staff by about 2,450 factory workers at the Sterling Heights assembly facility due to the discontinuation of the classic Ram that is being pulled off the market. And those are the vehicles that people are often looking for, the vehicles that are more affordable, price point vehicles. And sadly, that truck, the classic Ram, was the only opportunity for buyers today to get into the most cost-effective pickup truck means in the Stellantis group. They've now pretty much eliminated that, and it forces buyers to now go upscale, buy the higher trim levels. Vehicles are now, instead of $50,000, maybe closer to $70,000 or $80,000. And to throw more fuel on the fires, and according to Reuters, Stellantis added more casualties to the list of massive layoffs by promising another 400 workers to be hatcheted from the Detroit Automotive Parts facility. And they would indefinitely lose their jobs as the car maker reduces costs in this struggling North American business. Now, it's pretty clear the CEO, Carlos Tavares, is strictly trying a little damage control here and hopes to aim to reverse the sliding sales and profits in the United States. And what is also equally interesting is the UAW president, Shawn Fain, alleges a threatened nationwide walkout may be imminent at the Stellantis facilities. But you pretty much have to have union workers to be able to strike. And if all those workers are getting fired or laid off, who's left to strike? Nobody. So unfortunately, Stellantis is facing some real hot water in a market that's overly saturated with competitors that are much better built, better quality, and competitively priced. Stellantis allegedly has leadership that also isn't listening to the buyers and the buyers' needs and wants, and they've missed the target when initially these vehicles were intended to be a blue-collar worker, middle-class, lunchbox Joe kind of worker to be able to afford, and yet these are clearly for the upper middle now, and even the well-to-do and the well-heeled buyers. On top of all of the struggles, right in the midst of higher inflationary conditions, as well as interest rates are still not dropping enough to motivate people to get them into the door, and an absolutely obsolete product line that feels lacking innovation, it's long in the tooth, the quality isn't there, reliability is poor, as well as recalls are on the rise. Stellantis, particularly the North American products from Jeep, Ram, Dodge, Chrysler, are all on the hook for potential imminent failure. And that's why I say, believe me now, when I say Ram, Jeep, Dodge, and even Chrysler are going out of business. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. You have a wonderful weekend. We'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.